Hi, everyone. It's great to see you all today. There are many familiar faces and some new ones. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Sarah Yao Schutzman, CFA. I'm a founder and managing partner of Providence Heights Capital Management, a hedge fund based in Chicago. I'm also a co-founder and president of Collaborative WIM. Those who have been with us know our story, but for the benefit of our new friends today, I'm happy to share a bit of the journey that brought us to this moment. Collaborative WIM was founded in 2020 as a grassroots campaign led by CFA Society leaders around the US. Over the last 4 years, we've hosted over 40 global events, each co-hosted by a CFA society around the world. Today, Collaborative WIM leads the gender diversity efforts of the CFA Institute globally. Thank you to our many champions whose support and guidance has made our shared efforts possible, and especially today's co-hosts, CFA Society Seattle. In our mission to further the advancement and development of female leaders of all backgrounds, storytelling has been a cornerstone of the CWIM community. So we are thrilled to have Sonia here with us today. As the Collaborative WIM platform has continued to expand, we are excited to share with you a few of our newest initiatives, including the CWIM Connect Global Networking Series and the CWIM Ambassadors Program. My dear friends and fellow board members of Collaborative WIM will share more over the course of today's workshop. With that, I'd like to introduce CWIM co-founder and VP, Ariel Batoni.
So, thank you, Sarah. I'm excited for today. And for those of you who are joining a Collaborative WIM event for the first time, you are in for a special treat. So I do have the pleasure of introducing and welcoming Laura Foster from CFA Society Seattle. So we are very grateful for you being our host today and would invite you up to say a few words.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Ariel. It's such a pleasure to be here. We love working with the CWIM community. So I'm a managing director for O'Shaughnessy Asset Management, and I also chair the Women's Network for the CFA Society of Seattle. And again, really excited to be co-hosting with you today, and thank you everybody for carving out some time to join us. At CFA Society Seattle, our Women's Network is really focused on providing meaningful connections and high-level content, high-impact content to our women charter holder members. And I love learning about things like public speaking. It's one of those terrifying things that we all do. You know, I have the butterflies right now, but such a wonderful way to elevate women in the community and really show the expertise that we all bring to bear. At CFA Seattle, we're actually getting started on launching a professional coaching series over the summer, which we are thrilled to bring to our members at a really reduced rate. So please, keep your eyes on that CFA Seattle newsletter that comes out every week. We're going to be launching that through the newsletter in the next couple of weeks here. But I'm so excited to hear from Sonia and get some, practical tips to take away to improve our, our executive presence and our public speaking skills. And couldn't be more pleased to be here. So thank you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laura. So we are very grateful to have you here as well. A new board member to Collaborative WIM that we would love to welcome and introduce all of you to is Adrienne Hughes. She is our new secretary, so we want to give her a big, warm welcome, and we are very excited to have you as part of the community and also helping us plan these events. So don't want to delay too much. We really want to hear from Sonia very quickly. Adrienne and I are just going to go over a couple of the new programs and initiatives that Sarah mentioned. So if you are not on the Collaborative WIM newsletter, we encourage you to sign up for it. And the way that you can do that easily is by going to our website at collaborativewim.org. That way you will stay up to date on all of our programmings and all of the activities and partners that are involved. So one of the programs that you will see on the newsletter is the CWIM Connect series, and this is a networking group. So if you are looking to develop deeper connections or just to kind of get to know your community a little bit at a deeper level, the CWIM Connect program, which you can sign up for through the website, we'll add the links in the chat box momentarily. You can opt in, and we do small groups of 8 to 10, which is led by one of our CWIM volunteers, Joanna Grabala. And so she fosters conversations. You can choose specific topics and get to know your fellow community at a deeper level. Adrienne, I'll let you introduce the other program that we have.
Thank you, Ariel, and I'm honored to be a part of the CWIM board. So I want to talk a little bit about the ambassador program. I am the lead ambassador, and the program is really to promote CWIM activities. So if you become an ambassador, then you are trying to, tell your societies about what's going on with CWIM. We ask you to spread the news via social media or whatever it may be. The special thing about being an ambassador is we have our own WhatsApp group, and we almost talk daily probably on that. It's a support group, it's a sharing group, it's a great networking group. And you can also, once you become an ambassador, you join that WhatsApp group. And we just had our first ever exclusive event for ambassadors. We had Adrienne Gray speak with us last week, and it was great. So I highly recommend joining the ambassador group. It's a great way to get even more involved with CWIM. And with that, I'm so excited to introduce Sonia to you today. So Sonia is the co-founder of Choir. It's a diversity tech platform focused on amplifying the voices of people of color, women, and non-binary professionals in finance, business, and tech. She is also a speaker and author focused on fostering candid conversations about gender and race in financial services. Sonia herself is a formal financial service CEO, and she has 2 decades of industry experience. Outside of work, Sonia enjoys traveling with her family, weightlifting, gardening, and cooking. And she's also on the board of FoodWise, a nonprofit dedicated to growing thriving communities through the power of joy and local food. So without further ado, we are so pleased to have Sonia. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you. All right. Can you hear me okay? See me okay? All right, I got a nod. All right, I'm going to go ahead then. Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. Thanks for taking the time to come visit and chat today. And I'm going to get right into the program here because I know that's what you came here for. Let's see. Can I get a thumbs up from somebody that the screen share looks good? All right, thanks. Okay, then I'm gonna just make the Zoom small and get started. All right, so thank you so much for the introduction. I'm not gonna do much more of self-introduction. Except to add that in addition to my experience as had a wide variety of experiences in the broker-dealer and RIA space, including being CEO of an independent broker-dealer, and then was consulting for a while. I come here today with primarily relying on my experience as a speaker. And with that experience as a speaker and with my co-founder of Choir, we built a platform that connects people of color, women, and non-binary folks with conference organizers who are looking for their subject matter expertise, and also media journalists looking for the same, and offers training both live and on demand on a variety of different speaking topics. And one of those we'll go through today. This is just getting started when you know that you want to be a speaker, but you're not sure where to begin. And so I will take you through that today. It is interactive, so get out your pen and paper or Google Doc or however you like to take notes, and then I'll have a workbook for you in a little bit. All right, so the things that we're going to talk about today, the 3 main takeaways are we're going to help you define what it is that you want to talk about, who you want to speak to, and how to pitch that. I get a lot of people who ask me, well, I know that I want to speak at professional events or I want to speak at conferences, but I don't really know how, like, where do I get started? And often people want to get started by asking conference organizers to put them on stage, which is definitely part of the process, but it's not the first step. It's really helpful to think about, who your audience is and your expertise and where those two intersect in a way that you can really bring value to the conference or event. And so we will go through all that today. And we'll also talk about, once you've got a speaking opportunity, how to leverage that into more speaking opportunities. All right, just quickly, we'll do a quick poll. When I am speaking in person, I'd love for all of my speaking engagements to be interactive, and on Zoom, this is the best I can do. We'll have some interactive Q&A at the end, but at scale, I'm hoping you all can help me with this poll by letting me know your level of experience with speaking at professional events. I'm just going to give just another 30 seconds here, and then I can share these. We have a pretty wide variety, it looks like. All right, I'm going to go ahead and so it looks like what we've got here is most people either haven't spoken at an event before, or they've spoken on or moderated 1 or 2 panels. I can share these results here. And that's great. Those are the folks, that is the exact right demographic for this audience. For the folks who have spoken on many panels and who've done even more than that, thank you for being here. And I hope that you find a piece or two here that's valuable as well. All righty, I'm going to close that. All right. So the broad outline of what we'll go through today is that we are going to clarify your goals for speaking, define your audience, very broadly outline and then refine your content to tailor it to your audience, figure out why this is important right now. That's an important part of your pitch, which we'll get to, and then we'll create the pitch. So to do that, we have a workbook. I saw there are some Voices members in the chat, on here. So if you are a Voices member, you can log in and get the editable version of the workbook here. And if you are not, I think Ariel is going to put the PDF of it in the chat.
Yeah, it should be there right now, Sonia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a second to go ahead and open up the workbook. You can make some notes on it while we're on the call, and then you can go back and fill in with more detail on your own. All right. While people are finding their documents, their pen and paper, let's put up one last poll here to see if you have any of these common reservations about speaking. All right. We have a lot of public speaking makes me nervous. I don't feel expert enough to be on stage. While these come in, let me just tell you a funny anecdote. Because all of the work we do is focused on amplifying the voices of people of color, women, non-binary folks, and especially women of color. We hear this a lot, that I don't feel expert enough. We heard it, in fact, so much that we stopped using the word expert in some of our external marketing, because a lot of women do not self-identify as experts in their area, which I know that I'm speaking to primarily folks who are CFAs. You're definitely expert enough to speak on a subject on your subject matter expertise. And so this is partly something that that's one that you have to sort of work on to understand that when you're given the opportunity to speak, it's because you have specific subject area expertise, and far more typically than your audience members. And you should be on stage, and you're there to help take that expertise, distill it, and provide helpful information and context on that expertise to your audience. So public speaking makes me nervous. This one's really common. I'm going to end the poll now. And you all can see these results. That one, unfortunately, is partly practice. And so the first ones are really nerve-wracking. And in fact, I have been doing public speaking for, gosh, 20 years now, but very frequently for the past 8. And I still get nervous right before I go on stage. What really helps, though, is to be very prepared, not rehearsed, but prepared. And we will talk a little bit about that here. And knowing that you were asked to be on stage for a reason, that you are prepared to talk about your topic and your expertise, and taking a deep breath, owning that, and showing up to bring that value to your audience and attendees. I'm not sure what topic I would cover, so we're going to talk about that in the workbook. I worry about being asked a question that I don't know the answer to. This is super common, and I'll just say this is a little bit more detailed than we'll go into today. So let me just say this briefly, and we have lots of resources for this on the Voices hub if you're a member. You don't have to answer the questions that you don't know the answer to. It's okay to say, I don't know. Nobody expects for you to know everything. And when you prepare in advance, you'll want to prepare, whether it's on a panel or any format, you'll want to prepare the main pieces of information that you want to share with the audience. And if you get a question that is not where you don't know the answer, it's fine to say that you don't know, to give it to another panelist, or you can say, I don't know the answer to that question, but on the same topic, one of the questions I think we should be asking is, and then you can fill in the question that you want to answer and answer it yourself. That's one of various techniques to consider. Also, if you're on a panel, having a prior exchanges with the moderator, which hopefully they are facilitating, but maybe not, and letting them know what your expertise is and what questions you want to be asked is totally okay. All right, and no reservations. Love that. All right, so we will close that poll. So hopefully we'll answer each of those reservations in this workshop, because I really want you to be all in when you're drafting your pitch at the end here. Okay, so I hope you have your workbook out, and however you want to take notes, whether it's in that or it's by hand, whatever it is, try to follow along here. The first thing that we're going to talk about is your goals for speaking. It's really critical to define your goals so that you can ensure that the content you create moves you in the direction that you want to go. So you might be wanting to get increased visibility to target prospects and target markets. You might be wanting to speak to communicate with your clients in that way, or perhaps you've written a book you want to promote, or you have a service that you want to promote. Career advancement is another one. Community or peer recognition. This is really common, just wanting to be a part of the community, share the knowledge you have with your peers, and be recognized for that expertise. And for some people are really driven by giving back. They have this knowledge and they really want to share it with people because it's important. It took them a long time to gather that wisdom, and they want to be able to share that. And then for some people, it's supplemental income, and it takes a while and a lot of practice to get to the point where you can charge a high dollar amount to speak, but it does. That is an opportunity, it is a possibility for some folks. So if that is your goal, feel free to write that down. I'm going to give you just a minute to write your own goals. And since this is an abbreviated version of this workshop, it's just going to be a very brief window of time for each of the upcoming steps that I let you write your own notes. And then hopefully you'll have a chance to go back and fill in more of the gaps later, but we'll get you started here today. So I'm just going to give you a minute here. All right. I wish I could give more time here. I'm well aware 1 minute is not enough to articulate all of that, but we will move on. And like I said, hopefully you can come back to this later this week and fill in some more. The next thing you'll want to do is define your audience. Who is your ideal audience that you want to talk to reach the goal that you listed in the first section? And like you can have multiple goals, you can also have multiple audiences. But when you're speaking, you'll likely only speak with one audience at a time. So for this exercise, pick one audience. And what I mean by that, it could be peers, or it could be clients, it could be a variety of different groups. But peers and clients are likely not going to be at the same professional event. So, so pick an audience for the purpose of this exercise, and then you can go back and repeat this later with a different audience. So I'll give you a minute to get clear on who that audience is and why they want to hear from you. All right, step 3 here. Now you know why you want to speak, and you know who you're going to speak to. And so now let's outline your content. This is perhaps the most time-intensive piece of what we'll do today. The first two require more reflection, and so I hope you'll come back to those. And then this one requires more time. This and the next step as well. So let us map out the content that you want to share with the audience that you just listed. And remember, we're just going to do one topic for one audience, but you can repeat this exercise for other audiences. So for this, I want you to think about your subject matter expertise, and try to think pretty narrow here. Your subject matter expertise is probably broad. You've probably, had a variety of different jobs and have experience in a variety of different areas. What is the thing that you want to talk about, and really narrow it down? People talk about having a niche. It's very helpful when you're speaking to have a very specific topic. And so where does your expertise intersect with your ideal audience? And what from that expertise can you share with them that is educational, actionable so they can do something with this, or both. And remember, and here's where I'm going to talk again about owning your expertise. Remember that you are an expert in a specific area, even though it might feel like, oh, everyone knows this or everyone should know this. They probably don't. You've just spent so much time on the topic that it feels second nature to you. So don't feel like you need to create an advanced level discussion here or an advanced level topic, just what it is that you know and are passionate about talking about, where it intersects with your audience. And like I said, you want to get really specific here. Don't worry about being too niche. You don't want to be everything to everyone. And for when we get to the pitching part, sharing specific, really specific topic suggestions can be helpful to conference organizers and is often asked for when conferences offer like an open speaker application process. And even if you pitch a specific niche topic and the conference does not have, that's not an appropriate topic for the conference this year, you'd be surprised how often organizers will come back later and say, hey, we didn't have, that topic was not a good fit, but I know that you speak on this general topic. Would you be open to being on a panel about this? And it's some tangential topic. So don't worry about being too niche. People will ask for what they need typically. So I'll give you a minute here. Okay, I know that probably was not enough time, and I'll give you a little bit more on this next one. And it's that builds on the one we just did. So part 4 is refining your content and tailoring it to your audience. This serves various purposes. It refines what your end goals are for your talk. It gives you something to share with conference organizers, and it serves as a good outline for writing your talk and your slides. Or if you're on a panel about this topic, you have a sense of the important elements to frame your answers around. So what I want you to think about here is taking that big topic that you thought of and writing out the most important main topics, sort of subtopics within. Typically here, you might list 5 or 6. And so after you do that, you want to narrow it down to 3 maximum. If you are presenting on your own on stage, having 3 main topics and 3 takeaways is plenty for the audience. You don't need to share everything you know on the topic. You just need to share enough to give people the knowledge and education and the interest so that they can continue to pursue the topic if it's a good match for them. And so if you can narrow to 3, it's great. This also really helps if you're on a panel, because knowing that the thing that you like to talk about has 3 main things that you want your audience to know, what are the 3 takeaways that you want them to leave the session with, really helps you to be prepared for being a panelist and help give your moderator the questions that you want to be asked. And to, if you practice and go over, again, you don't want to sound rehearsed, but you do want to know your stuff. You have your 3 main things that you want to share with the audience. And that way, you know, you're not just kind of saying stuff off the top of your head, but you've got your 3 most important things. So go ahead and expanding on the outlining your content and your topic, go ahead and find the 3 most important subtopics. And if you have time, what are the takeaways for the audience? If you got to talk about this topic for 45 minutes to an audience, what are the 3 things you want them to leave with? All right. So next is I want you to be able to articulate why this topic is important right now. Is it newsworthy or trendy? For example, right now, the sort of topic du jour that is at some version of it is at every conference is AI. In fact, this morning I just got another request for, do you have a speaker that can speak about AI and in the medicine field? Which is not our area of expertise, but or our area of focus. We stick to finance and tech. But AI times whatever is this year's sort of trendy topic. 2020 virtual work was a really common topic. 2021 was crypto. So if it's newsworthy right now, that's a great one. If it's evergreen, meaning this is information that can be helpful always, that is great. And you'll want to figure out how that matters right now. If it's evergreen, it's always important, right? So try to tie it to something, try to give a little bit of a sense of urgency, why it's really important to because it helps people reduce risk or increases profitability or helps your attendees live more meaningful lives. So find the urgency, because this will help you in marketing your talk and pitching it to conference organizers. So try to think about, why do people need to learn more about this topic that you've just outlined right now? And I'll give you a minute for that too. All right. So now it's time to take your content and write a short, compelling description that will get conference organizers' attention and get attendees in the door. It can help here to think about what a conference organizer or a conference committee or an agenda committee member, what their goals are, right? And this varies from conference to conference, from, if you're at a chapter meeting, that they may have a different goal, and how agendas are put together also varies. Some are put together by committee. For some, there's an open call for speakers. For some, it's just somebody behind the scenes choosing who speaks. For internal events, or rather for events that are run by a company, a lot of times it's employees that are primarily other employees who are running the event and asking their colleagues to be on their panels. So think about who your audience is, what your target event is, and then we're going to pitch that event. Of course, you can have a general topic and that you want to talk about, and you can pitch it to various events and tailor each one to that event. So to think about thinking about the goals of the conference organizer. But generally, there'll be a couple. They want to fill the room. They want people to want to attend this event. And to do that, there's a lot of different things that go into that, but your role here is to give them a topic that people are interested in. And this, even if you are not going to be speaking as the, on a keynote stage, you might be pitching a panel or being part of a panel. Try to find some language that encapsulates your topic and also will get people in the door. What do people want to learn about, and why is it important? Here's where the urgency comes in right now. So thinking about all of that, I want you to first give your topic a short, catchy title, as if it were a keynote talk or the topic of a panel of 4 or 5 people. It's fine that you're not choosing the whole panel right now. Just encapsulate the general idea of what you'll talk about. You do not have room for nuance here. Talk descriptions, maybe a sentence or two, but the topic title is usually just a few words. So try to boil it down to as few words as possible. And then create a 1-sentence description. I know that this is really hard for, if you're thinking about your subject matter, your full subject matter expertise, narrowing to what you want to talk about, narrowing to the top 3 things in that niche that you want to talk about, and then encapsulating it in 1 sentence can be really hard, but it's important to get it short and sweet so that you can pitch it and it's short enough that people will read or listen to. And so I'm going to give you a couple minutes to review and maybe fill in blanks on all of your prior answers, and then put together a short name for the talk and a 1-sentence description. And I'm just going to leave this up. All right. All right, so coming back to that. So now we're going to take what you wrote, formulate that into a pitch so that you can use either in calls for speakers where an event is asking publicly to submit topics for discussion, or whether you're doing outreach, cold outreach. We'll talk about those different ways in a minute. But then no matter the method or the recipient, it's really, this is critical here. Why is it important for your conference organizer or agenda committee's audience, their specific audience, to learn about your topic, or really your subtopic of your topic, from you? So what your unique perspective is right now. And I think that there's a section in the workbook about the from you part that I don't have here because we don't have time for it today, but the sharing what your unique angle is on the topic, especially if it's a really common topic. Why does your experience or perspective, what does that add to the topic and to give to the audience? And then the right now, the urgency part. All right, let's talk about some of those different ways to go and pitch yourself. So call for speakers is a great, easy way to start. It feels a little bit less daunting, at least to me and most folks that I've talked to. So you can check out websites of your ideal events and see if they have calls for speakers. If they don't, you can ask the conference organizer, and that'll be back up to here. You keep an eye out on social media and in email newsletters. And yeah, actually on the Voices Hub, we actually have now a whole listing, an interactive listing of all the events on our radar that have calls for speakers, and you can filter by date, you can filter by topic, and then the links are right there to the application for the speakers. And if you are interested and you have the bandwidth, volunteering for a conference committee or an agenda committee is a great way to get an inside look at how speakers are selected. So that's where you can find ways to find conferences that are sort of out there publicly looking, but a lot of events are not out publicly looking. They are looking and typically asking people they know, or perhaps looking at speaker databases. And it is, I know it can feel daunting to do a cold pitch to folks like this, but it is actually helpful to conference organizers. Just because you want to speak and you know your stuff, that's not enough to become a speaker. You've got to put yourself out there. You have to tell people that you want to speak. You have to tell people what you want to speak about, and you've got to do it over and over, and doing it directly to conference organizers is great. If you can do that if you can do it more broadly on social media, say that you are, this year you are open to speaking on panels about XYZ topic and welcome introductions, that's great. And also the most direct way to do that is to find out who is on the agenda committee, or who the conference organizer is, and reach out with an email and a video. And for the video, what I suggest is take Loom or any of the sort of short video recorders that you can get online now. And I'm pretty sure there's a free Loom version and then go ahead and take about 90 seconds to introduce yourself and your topic and explain why that topic is important to that audience, to that conference's audience right now. And when you're doing this, remember that the conference organizer or agenda committee, in looking at your video, is not just looking at your topic, but how the energy that you'll bring to the stage. And so show up with your good, compelling energy in the video. In fact, one of the questions that we got when we started our speaker database for conference organizers was, well, it's great that these folks have subject matter expertise or they know their topic, but how do I know that they're good speakers? And this is where video really can come in and help, because when they're looking for good speakers, they want somebody who can hold an audience's attention. It doesn't mean that you have to have a ton or any speaking experience. You need to know your stuff, and you need to not put people to sleep on during your talk. So interestingly, I think that we actually get a lot of that question because the speaker database is all people from underrepresented groups. And I do think that conference organizers as a whole, they may not know that they're doing this or be doing it intentionally, but they apply a far stronger layer of scrutiny to the expertise and speaking abilities of people of color and women, and especially women of color. And so being able to show on video that, hey, I know my stuff and I'm compelling in front of a camera and will be in front of an audience is really helpful here. So that's why we always suggest to do a video. If you know anybody who is connected, ask for introductions. You've really got to put yourself out there for the first few speaking roles. And then, of course, LinkedIn, make sure that anything that you post on LinkedIn, which is a great place to say, hey, I'm looking for speaking engagements, or I'm open to speaking on XYZ topic this year, make sure that your profile backs up that you are, what your subject matter expertise is. All right, we are getting almost to the end here, and I want to share how to, if you book that first event and you're excited about it and you want to have more speaking engagements, or perhaps you do get asked to be on a panel here and there and you want to take that and use it to build a more robust speaking profile. Here's how. So I want to start with this first, the second box here, posting on social. So sharing on social is a really good way to help the conference that you're going to and also show other event organizers that you are a speaker. So you want to share in advance on social. Typically there will be like an image with, all the pictures of the panelists, or at least the topic of the panel and the names. So share that image, or create your own, or just write a text post that you are really looking forward to this conference. Use the conference hashtag, look it up, tag the conference host company. And so when you do this, the conference organizer sees that you are engaged and it's helpful to the conference, which you want to do because you want to drive attendees there. And it's also helpful. It shows other conference organizers that you know how to show up and help drive attendance, and that you could do that for their conference too. If you're active on social, share highlights of the events using the event hashtag during the event, other topics, other panels. And then this is key: get photos or videos at your talk or panel. Ask a friend or an attendee in the front row. You can use these photos later in social posts or to create a speaker web page, because seeing is believing. So let people see the visual of you speaking. And then after, you can thank the event on social with a picture of you speaking. And then follow up, thank your moderators and your fellow panelists for their collaboration, and tell them that you are looking for future speaking opportunities on this topic, and to feel free to send them your way. Thank the conference team or the agenda organizer, and ask them what time they start planning for next year's event. And then follow up with them at that time and pitch them to speak at next year's event. All right, we are all done. These are additional resources on the same topic. The Voices Hub has lots of different speaking topics, including for more advanced speakers, but these are more resources that are there. If this is something that you're interested in learning more about, you are most welcome to join Voices. We'd love to have you. You can learn more here, helloacquire.com/voices. And if you join, please use this code so that you can get a discount on your membership that we have intentionally made very accessible and affordable, because we know that our target audience, people of color, women, non-binary folks, tend to have been underpaid and under-resourced their entire careers. And most of the topics are like this, but they're on demand, and then we have once a month a webinar that's live. Whew, that's it. It was tough to fit all that into such a short window, but here we are, and I'm happy to take questions. I know we only have 4 minutes, but I will do what I can, and I'm also happy to hang on for an extra few minutes if people want to. If not,
Okay, so
thanks.
I was going to say you have several questions
Great.
via chat. So I can read them to you so you don't have to search around. Someone also said, I struggle with to identify which events are most meaningful with limited time. I want to be sure any time is worthwhile and not just, a bone to get me in the room to sell me some financial product, since I'm on the buy side. So I guess trying to decipher how to make the most of what you're doing, and how do you know if it's worth your while, basically.
Yeah, and I think actually defining what your goal is for speaking, that very first piece that we did, is really helpful there. And then assessing when the event offer comes in, does this match up with my goals? We have a resource on the Voices Hub that's sort of a metric for whether and how to ask for compensation for events. And this is not a compensation question, but it falls in sort of the same, because they're asking for your time, right? Your time is really valuable. And so figuring out what it costs for you to be there in terms of time, mental resources, and possibly actual out-of-pocket costs, flying, hotel, etc. And what value you get for it, and really trying to think about the value exchange, including what it is that, and identifying your goals for speaking can really help with the, like, what do you want to get out of an event?
That's really helpful. Ariel had pretty much the same question, but she did add on, are there certain questions we should ask event organizers, which I think is a great question to ask, because,
Yeah,
that
you can ask. I would again reflect back on what your goals are for speaking and who your ideal audience is, and you can ask the event organizer, what is the audience, what's your audience profile, what percentage of if this matters to you, what percentage of attendees are sponsors, and how many are speakers, and how many are paying attendees that don't have a sponsor or speaker role. It really depends on the event, and what your goals are, and it's absolutely okay to ask the event organizer questions.
Do you recommend posting a few topics you will cover once you've secured that you are speaking at this event? Do you think it's, helpful? I mean, I know you were talking about how you need a one-liner to catch people's attention, but what
Yeah.
about like pinpointing topics?
Yeah, take those the three things that we identified in, I don't know, that's maybe the third step that we did. You can say, if you're going to XYZ event, I really hope to see you there. Come by my session. It's on Thursday at noon, and I'll make sure that you leave knowing item number 1, item number 2, item number 3. And actually telling people that there's 3 things is really the sort of BuzzFeedification of content is actually really compelling. And some of my talks are named the 3 things you need to know to XYZ, because telling people
Okay.
that a number and then listing them can be really helpful to give people a framework.
Okay, that's great. Would you recommend this process for pitching to be on podcasts or speaking to non-conference groups?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
A similar process, and I'm just going to stop sharing that so that I can see you all. Hi. Yes, I would say similar process, and podcast is slightly different because it's more on the media side, not speaking. And actually later this month, I think it's the 29th, we're having a workshop where my co-founder, Liv, who is a media expert, is talking about non-traditional or new media. So social media, podcasts, and how to both get on and how to manage those kinds of media requests and outreach. And so come to that. There'll be, if you follow me or follow Choir, or you can check out our website, there'll be information on that. It's our May workshop, and I'm pretty sure it's May 29th.
That's perfect. That should help a lot.
Yes, podcast is specifically one of them. So please come. Yeah. You're welcome to email me too. If you don't find it and don't catch that, I don't know it off the top of my head, but my email is Sonya with SONYA @hellochoir.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. And then the last question on here is, how do you represent speaking history on LinkedIn? Is there a specific section to list these engagements in? And that's a really good question. I never thought about that.
That is a really good question.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. If I will say though, if speaking is something that is important to you and you want to showcase, I think that you can, depending on if it's okay with your job. I know that there's so much compliance in the financial field. You can list it in your sort of the title that goes underneath your name. You could list it in, and you could also list it in as part of your bio. Now, where to LinkedIn used to have a place where you could put like achievements and media. So it's possible you could put it there, but I don't really have a great answer to that, but I'm going to find out, because that's a great question and something I should add in. I will say though, posting proactively to LinkedIn, just getting in front of people, saying that you are a speaker and that you're looking for speaking engagement is really helpful. You have to let people know. Otherwise, they don't know that you want to be a speaker. They don't even really know what your area of expertise is. People are too focused on their own job to know exactly what you do.
True. It looks like Janet has a question.
Go for it.
No, I don't have a question. I have a comment, which is I do a lot of speaking, and I put it in the projects section. And when it's in the project section, I can put also the other panelists who are there, and I can link to the website where the announcement of the event took place. So I would encourage anyone who has done some speaking, whether at conferences or on podcasts, to put it in the projects section.
I am writing that down.
Yeah.
And if you are, if you have the ability to have a speaker page, your own website, you can also include that there. I know that really varies from person to person and job to job. You can see mine if you want. It's at soniadreisler.com, and so you can see an example of a speaker page. I don't do a ton of that anymore because I'm so focused on choir, but it still lives up there, so you can see as an example. And Janet, thank you. I just wrote that down, and I'm gonna check that out tomorrow on my to-do list.
Does anyone else in the audience have any questions? I do see that Denise said www.matchmaker.fm is a good site to pitch yourself as a podcast guest. Didn't know that.
Thank you, Denise.
Awesome. Well, that was really, really great Q&A, which speaks to the value of the session. Sonia, thank you so much for immersing us with your guidance and expertise. We really admire the amazing work you're doing with choir and beyond, and we're so glad to collaborate with you to help amplify voices and showcase diverse talent, especially for women in the investment industry who are underrepresented, as we know, in the profession, and particularly on stage at speaking events.
Yes.
So I'm Christine Tinker, co-founder of Collaborative WIM. Just a few closing remarks before we conclude today's event. On behalf of the team, we extend our gratitude to CFA Society Seattle for hosting today's event. Also to Collaborative WIM sponsors, Gelzer Investment Management, Yield Street, and Wendell Rhodes Consulting. And really to all of you for joining us today and for taking this journey with us. We also want to give special thanks to CWIM advisors and CWIM ambassadors who we proudly feature on our website at collaborativewim.org. Check them out, and really as an easy and low cost way to support CWIM, please follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to the CWIM newsletter for all the latest announcements from our friends and allies all over the globe. Registration is currently open for our next event, Q3 Live with the Author Book Club event, which is happening on September 19th, hosted by CFA Society Dallas-Fort Worth. Author and keynote speaker Manisha Thakora will be with us to talk about her book Money Zen, with guidance on investing in both your financial health and your emotional wealth. Also be sure to save the date for our 3rd annual CWIM Summit taking place on November 7th, co-hosted by CFA Societies Nashville, Serbia, and Uruguay. So this is our first event with co-hosts spanning 3 continents. And we have a really exciting lineup of speakers, so please be on the lookout for the agenda, which we'll be sharing shortly. So thank you again. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and we'll see you soon.